Hello and welcome to the Walk in Love podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Brooke.
And today we are going to talk about being an expert at stuff. Stuff you're going to be an expert at. Brooke can't stop. She just painted her nails.
You could have just said, today we're going to talk about being an expert.
At stuff. Well, I added the stuff because I didn't know if people like...
It's like John Ralphio when he is always rapping.
He's rapping.
Like a Big Ben clock.
Why didn't you end on the right? Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a part of your week. Thank you for shopping the spring collection, which you can still do right now. Pause the podcast, open up, pull over your car, press the brake, let it come to a stop.
Yeah.
Put it in park.
Put your hazards on. Then pause the podcast. Then grab your phone. Click, click, click.
Click. Yep.
Type in your passcode.
I go click, click, click.
Shop.walkinlove.com. You're there. You can shop the spring collection now through the 13th. We are going to add a new item. So the original idea was all new designs. Turns out you guys love the old stuff. We've seen the DMs. We've heard the cry. We've heard the people's call.
Hear my womanly roar.
And so now we're going to release something tomorrow or today when you're listening to this. We have a little vote going on in our store. You probably saw that if you follow us on Instagram at Walk in Love. Never done that before.
Plugged our Instagram.
Plug the Instagram.
If you're here listening
and you don't follow on Instagram,
send me a message.
I want to know.
Or
do I want to know?
I want to know. I think it's, I don't need to know like necessarily who, but I just.
We get this message. It's like, you guys are so ugly. So I don't follow you. I just listen.
I've unsubscribed because I've now seen your faces. Womp womp. Have you ever unsubscribed from someone because you don't like the way they look? Okay. I was scared.
I don't know.
Like, well, hold on. I forgot about John. His face, I just can't.
I can't with his face. There's like one John listening. He's like, is it me? So yeah, go to the shop on your phone, click, 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 add the things to your cart, check out. You have two options for codes because you're a podcast listener that will help you save extra. One is MindMush, MINDMUSH, and one is Ashes to Ashes in honor of Earn Guy. Ashes to Ashes is winning right now.
Yes.
And who knows? We might have another discount code that pops up today.
Right.
And then you can use that one. They'll all be for the same amount though.
Yep.
So shop is open. Thank you for shopping. Thank you for making us part of your week. What are you smiling about?
Well, after you check out, turn off your hazards.
Oh yeah. Turn off your hazards.
You should keep going to work. Don't just sit on the side of the road.
Put your foot back. You keep your foot on the brake, then put it in drive, then start going. Well, check your side view mirror. Make sure no one's coming.
Right.
Merge safely onto the highway or wherever you're going. If you work from home, ignore all of that and just go to your computer that you're sitting at right now. So collection's live. I feel like I had something I wanted to say right off the bat. Okay, yeah, here it is. Sunny might be the greatest human that's ever lived because there's a couple Sunnyisms that I don't know if we've filled people in on lately.
Ching, I don't think you have.
So ching, here we go. One, we've talked about this on the story. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast. She calls every other person in life a human. So
I shared this on my story.
Okay, so
yeah,
we walk into coffee shop. We walk into Akamai here on Maui. Oh, there's humans in line.
Yeah. Oh, I like that human's dress. Mom, there's a human in the way, and their bike is too close to mine. Humans. It's the best.
So I don't know if that bodes well for her in her world takeover, but I'm here for it. That's one. Two, she's learned how to snap.
Yes.
So she's been very focused on learning how to snap with one hand. June's like, ow, it hurts too much. Our delicate, sweet little June and our
Punch ya.
our punchy Sunny. Passionate. The world needs passionate people. That phrase will forever be in my heart. So passionate Sunny learned how to snap with one hand.
Yep.
And she has not stopped snapping.
For about 5 days.
Just to get your attention, just as she's walking. She did it on the park. Yeah. So it's like the new cha-ching is a snap. And then 3 just happened. I was looking. So the card that we use in the, you should probably buy 2 memory cards, but this is how we work right now. A little peek behind the curtain. The memory card that we use in the podcast Roadcaster is the same one we use in our GoPro. Same size. I just switch them back.
That makes sense. That seems to make sense. We're really setting ourselves up for success there.
It feels like the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I fear the time I drop the GoPro to the bottom of the ocean, we won't record a podcast that week.
Oh my word, I never thought of that. Okay.
I think of it every time I have it out.
Oh man.
And we have nothing that makes it float. So when you drop that thing, like there's no,
Do those exist?
Oh yeah.
Like a handle or something?
Like a handle or like the selfie stick, that'll help. Ours has a metal carabiner on it. So
it's going down.
Going down, baby. So anyways, as I was looking for the GoPro before we started the podcast, I asked Sunny, have you seen the GoPro? And she, with all serious in her eyes, goes, "What's a goat rope?"
I mean, if you say GoPro fast enough, GoPro, it does sound like goat rope.
Just wanted to I don't know.
Question. What is a goat rope?
Is it a rope that you tie?
Does it hold your goat in place like a leash?
Or is it a rope
made of goats?
Or goat?
Those got you good.
It's just that like kids are so sincere in everything they do. Loud. And she's just like, I'll help you. What's a goat? I'll help you. So anyways, that's a little Sunny update for you. Brooke, you said you had a game. Oh,
game changers. Changes to the game such that the game can never be played the same way again.
So Brooke, what's your
game changer?
Okay, so I feel silly, but I don't, but I do, but I don't, but I do. That my game changer is also about the refrigerator this week. So just, y'all, you're over it. Okay.
I mean, you spend a lot of humans.
I'm familiar.
Spend a lot of time opening and closing the fridge. So this could be very helpful.
In our fridge specifically, we have one of those like...
First of all, I have strong feelings. I do not like our fridge.
Same.
So those are my very strong feelings. We're saving for a new one in our Digit account, linked in the show notes. Not our account, but the app.
That's so weird. Weird flex.
If you guys want to just see how much money we have, click on this link.
Money set aside for Easter baskets 2023. Okay.
Wow, they're really saving. Anyways, that's one of the things. Like you move into a house, it comes with a fridge most times.
Yeah.
And you're like, this fridge is the worst.
Great. This is a fridge.
But
and
it's
then you
the
start using
worst.
It, and you're like, it's the worst fridge ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, ours is like a skinny, one of those really shallow drawers. I'm sure it has words on it. What do you think it says? Like it's like a meat and cheese drawer, maybe?
I don't know.
I don't know what it's not the 2 big drawers at the bottom. It's the one that just like floats in the middle. Anyway, I designated that drawer about 4 months ago as the kids' snack drawer, specific to like cold items. And
game changers.
Is a game changer.
Changes to the game such that the game can never be played the same way again.
Specifically, and there was an episode where I think it was one of the ones where I was talking about how like I'm learning how to lean into my more like improver. I like things to be organized. I want things a certain way side of me, and not feel so guilty that like I shouldn't want to be that way.
Right. That you should just be like,
it's just fine.
chill.
Like, what does it matter?
Chill.
Okay, well, it does matter when all the kids are screaming and you don't know where the snacks are, and they have their 7th granola bar, which is terrible for them, and you wish, I really wish they were eating all the produce that's in those bottom 2 drawers. So I made a snack drawer. I have a snack bin in the pantry, also great. That is where anyway, in that episode, we talked about snack bags. That was like our one example. Got quite a few messages on like, what is a snack bag? It's literally just a baggie that instead of buying pre-portioned things at the store, I'm buying a bag of, I don't know, popcorn or
peppers, a lot of peppers.
Yeah, we eat a lot of peppers, like bell peppers sliced up. But anyway, every Sunday, I bag up all the stuff in the pantry that is like on the top shelf where there's only like maybe a third or less of the bag left. So if
you're talking about like chips, popcorn,
exactly.
pretzels, stuff like that.
Crackers, all that kind of stuff. We've spent the week eating it or 2 weeks eating it as a family. And now there's
or the last 24 hours.
24 hours, myself, whatever. To each his own. It's like that last little bit in the bag that you kind of never eat. And you sort of feel like we should just buy a new bag. Anyway, I turn all that into snack bags for the kids in the snack bin in the pantry.
Then
snack drawer gets the applesauce, yogurt tubes, tons of bell peppers cut up. Cucumbers, carrots, grapes. Kind of depends on like whatever we have that week. But it's amazing because then when the girls say, I want a snack.
And now sometimes they don't even say they want a snack. They just say, can I have a snack? And you go, yeah.
They'll just go get one.
Go to the drawer.
Or I'm able to say yes, but only out of the fridge. Because like I know what's in there is better than the crackers and stuff. So
game changers. Changes to the game such that the game can never be played the same way again.
So if you don't have a skinny drawer, I'm simply saying designate an area or get a like nice little clear bin or something in your fridge.
Do you like those clear bins?
Me? No.
No, from Target?
No.
You don't have 500 of them in our house?
You mean the bright side, 11 by 12 by 14? Yeah, no, they're fine. I mean, they're okay.
You mean these? You pull up your sleeve?
It's tattooed on me. Oh, no, not bright side. Bright room. That's the name of the...
It's crossed out.
Rebrand my tattoo. Not bright side. That's a song, right? Mr. Brightside?
Yeah. Bright Eyes is a band.
Yeah, I was getting confused.
Yeah.
It's a lot of brights.
A lot of brights. That's a game changer.
Do you have one?
I don't think I have one. Well, here's my game changer. It's more emotional. Have realistic expectations, or not even expectations. Be able to adjust when things don't go your way. Like that, like being emotionally competent, healthy, intelligent enough that like if something doesn't go the way you thought it would, you can recalibrate and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You know,
twice in the last week, you said it to me one time, and then we were having a separate conversation, and we kind of said it to each other. Like you told me, like there's no reason to fall on your sword over this.
Yeah.
To me, and then we said it again, and it kind of like that, and we were just like, yeah, like it all.
Yeah, like I think sometimes we like to play. Culturally right now, everyone likes to play victim. You don't have to look very far to see that. But it's like we don't have, I think there are times in life where it's like something doesn't go our way and we think like, oh, I'm the victim, woe is me, all that kind of stuff. And instead of just like, shifting, I was saying shifting and tilting at the same time. So I shilted my pants the other day, and then I was like, I'm going to reorient.
What's a goat rope?
Anyways, and so like, like something didn't go my way this week, and I was like frustrated by it. I was disappointed because I thought it would be better than it was. And it's just like, well, I just need to like recalibrate and shift my focus and like, find a solution or find a way to turn it around or to make it better or to just like let my heart be disappointed, but then move on. Like there are ways around disappointment, and we almost wanted to talk about disappointment today, but we're going to save that for a future episode. But just
I want to gather a few more of my thoughts about it.
But I just like, and this really isn't like a game changer, like a life hack or anything like that. It's just like, I've been thinking about that a lot recently. It's just like disappointment is inevitable, period. End of sentence. And we need to, as adults, as parents, as kids, as teenagers, whatever, learn how to reorient ourselves around disappointment, or like accept disappointment and then be able to move past it.
Move through it.
And so like, I don't know, I just feel like there are probably things that you are disappointed about right now, you listening. And it's like some people, and I fall into this category. I'm like, oh, it's fine. Everything's fine. Like, it's going to be great. Don't worry about it. Like, I don't acknowledge the disappointment. I just like pile on all the extracurriculars over the disappointment and just ignore it until 5 years later it hits me. And I'm like, oh man, that's a wound. Cool.
That's called a stomach ulcer.
Well, I shilted. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just like acknowledge disappointment. And then if you can find a way to like turn it into something that will be more positive or more of the outcome that you want, do that. And if you just need to acknowledge,
not in the name of never acknowledging the disappointment.
Right. Like, this week we had something disappointing happen. And so we acknowledged it. We talked about it.
Yep.
We didn't just say like, it's going to be fine, or like, and then we said, okay, now how can we make it better?
Yeah.
How can we move past it and find a solution for that? And so, yeah, it's not really like it's no fridge door, but
no fridge door.
That would be my
game changers.
It's good.
So, Brooke, how was your week?
My week was good. It was full. I mean, leading up to collection launch is always full.
I don't know if you heard last week's episode, but it was
oh boy. Is that the one where we had no words?
Yes.
Yeah, yowzes.
You literally said this is a garbage episode.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Good times.
Yeah, my week was full. It was full of work stuff, like getting ready for the collection. It was full of beauty counter work stuff. We had Matt visiting, so our house was one person fuller, and I feel like
we had more help that week.
Yeah.
Someone watching the girls a little bit more to help us have more work time. So yeah, it was just
it really was good. I don't feel like there was one like specific story or thing that happened. Like, I feel bad, but it was just like a nice week of getting all the things done, plugging away, remembering that like you and I, that we're in a work sprint mode.
Yep.
So if there is something more I can do or extra I can do, now is the time I'm going to do it.
Right.
Because in a week or two, like, we're going to slow down, and then I know that. So that's been really helpful. Like, just the mindset of that.
Yeah. And for me, my week was part, it's always dad, husband, obviously, but part work, part hospitality. So Matt was supposed to come a few weeks ago, but he broke his leg or fractured his leg. So he didn't come.
Way to go,
Matt. And so his trip was delayed, but then he ended up coming right before the collection launch, which was not a big deal, but it was like, I was like, when he booked the tickets, I was like, just so you know, the collection's going to come out that week. So I don't know how touristy I can be with you, but I actually found a lot more time than I expected, which was really, really great. And it just reminded me, like, I met Matt when he was, how old are you in ninth grade? 14?
I turned 14.
Yeah, so he could have been 13.
Well, yeah, because I'm October, so.
And so, 13-year-old kid coming to youth group, and,
and wasn't he brought by a friend?
Yeah, he was
like, it wasn't even his youth group.
No, he just came with a friend, and they were in my group, and he just liked it. So he kept coming. And, these are like 13-year-old squirrels, boys that are just like, boys. And so, but it was like, it's crazy to think that was 7 years ago. Actually, no, 9 years ago, because he's 22. So he must not have been 13.
Yeah, I don't know how old he was, but because was he not a freshman?
No, he was a freshman. So I must have my math off. You must be 14 or 15 as a freshman. Anyways, doesn't matter. I knew him before June was born, and June's now 7.
Maybe I turned 15.
Yeah. I have no idea. Brooke doesn't really remember last week, so good luck remembering.
No, 15 would make sense, because I think...
Because people get their license like sophomore, junior year.
10th grade. I had for my 16th birthday. I'm trying to remember what year.
What was the theme?
For my 16th?
Yeah.
It was like a big outside.
Oh, outside theme.
Like, it was like a big bonfire.
Irrigation, America.
Yeah. The irrigation. We'll take the irrigation room. No, it was like outside.
You were just the belle of the ball, weren't you?
Bonfire,
So cool.
music. It was cool.
It's
It was
cool.
definitely 10th grade because I'm now remembering all the people and all the things, and it was definitely 10th grade.
All the drama. Was there some spicy drama at your 16th
I don't
birthday
know.
party?
I don't know if anybody else thought it was spicy. I thought it was spicy.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Anyways, so I've been, a mentor to Matt for 7 years. And it is very cool to see him value that relationship enough to travel across the world to come visit us, and it's equally valuable to me. It's definitely not one-sided, but I just it reminds me every time I get to spend time with him that this is a friendship that has lasted a long time and will continue to last. And it is important in your life to have, if you're a man, to have other men, and if you're a woman, to have other women in your life that you can go to and talk to about things that are going on in your life.
Yeah.
Free of judgment or, for actual advice. And I think culturally now, no one has those types of friendships. Everybody wants to stay a little bit distant from everybody. We isolate ourselves.
Yeah.
While also feeling.
Or we just want an echo chamber.
Yeah.
So we just are friends with people who are going to say exactly what we want.
Right. But even that, it's just that's just surfacey stuff, politics or what, that stuff's surfacey to me, where in reality, what's going on in the heart. And, so for me, it was just a cool week to be wow, I've known him a long time. He has grown from a squirrely young boy into a young man. And I've been able to watch that progression go. And so I have actual insight to speak into his life.
Yeah.
And that's just really cool. And I'm very thankful for it. And I was very thankful. And Matt is hysterical. And so we have a good time hanging out together. But that was really most of my week, was just I was either at my computer, downstairs playing with the girls, or out with Matt. And June kept being well, why do you keep leaving just you and Matt?
Yeah.
She was I want to come.
I want to go. Can I go shopping?
And so we did take her paddleboarding one time, which was super fun. Matt saw a bunch of turtles. Went to the top of Haleakala. All good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything else that you want to talk about before we get into the topic at hand?
I don't think so. My brain is it's not as mushy as last week, but
Half mush.
half mush. Yeah.
All right. Well, I will start this conversation then. I don't know so I'm reading this book called Habits of the Household, and to me, it's just it's an excellent book. And I also love the idea of habits and sort of the science behind habits. Now, I'm not geeking out and reading every book on habits that's ever been. I've read 3 books, this being the 3rd.
Yeah.
But the first one I started with was called The Power of Habit. And that one was super fascinating to me. Definitely a scientific explanation of it, but in a dumb kind of way for me to understand. And then Atomic Habits is the ultimate bestseller right now. It's always at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Basically how to stack your habits if you want to achieve better ones, So if you have the habit of getting up and reading your Bible, and you want to exercise, well, run right after you read your Bible.
Right.
And then you
Connect
start to stack them together, and they start to flow together. So it's a really great book, but I just described it to you in a couple of sentences. But it's an excellent book. And then I'm reading this one, Habits of the Household, which is the family version of that. And the author of this book has another book about habits. So I'm excited. I already bought that one. And so as I was reading this Habits of the Household, it has nothing to do with the topic today, other than for me, I was I'm reading this book and this stuff this really intrigues me. The idea of being a family and doing family better than maybe you were taught, or than historically how it's gone, or culturally how it's going. And just I don't want our family to be the average American family.
Right.
Because the average American family, half of those families are getting divorced. The average American family, half of those families are they don't talk to each other because of some family fight.
Right.
There's a lot of not good things in the average American family.
Yeah.
Or, Western family. And so I just with what Jeremy Pryor teaches, family teams, like that kind of stuff got me into it. And now I'm like just diving deeper and deeper. So the Habits of the Household felt like a nice next step book. And I was
sorry.
Like, what are you doing?
I'm reaching for a pen because my head is really itchy, but I can't itch it because my nails are still kind of wet. So I was using the pen.
I thought you were gonna like write a note, I said something.
Like, don't talk about
Yeah. Anyways.
Nope. It's an old itchy scalp, my
This is
friend.
old itchy scalp. Got it.
Thank you.
So anyways, as I'm reading this book, I'm just enjoying the content so much.
Yeah.
Which is not the way I've always been.
Correct.
One, I would have never picked up a book. Two, it's like, I don't know if I would have been emotionally mature or stable enough to like be like, I like this. I want to consume more of this.
Yes.
In a positive way.
Right.
But as I've grown up, those things are starting to happen, which is really great. Anyways, so I found myself being like, I want to be an expert at this, like thinking those thoughts, not just literally at the habits of a household, but of just like the idea of like family, being a dad, understanding my kids, like, cause I was also listening to this interview about this from this neuroscience about parenting, and it was like rocking my world. And anytime Dr. Josh speaks at Integrated, I'm like, please just never stop talking. And so like, there's obviously something inside of me that like is sparked by this.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, to myself, I was like, I want to be an expert at this. And then I started thinking like, what am I an expert at? And then I started thinking, I'm going to be an expert at something. And so here's the sort of thesis, hypothesis.
Theodore's thesis.
Behind this
That's
episode. You, throughout your life, are going to be an expert at something. Everyone becomes an expert at something by default, because you will do something a long period of time in your life. And so you'll become an expert at it. You'll get your 10,000 hours or whatever, it says. Some of those things will be terrible things that you'll be an expert at. Some of those things will be things that...
Avoiding all your emotions.
Yeah. You will be... Some of you currently in this time are an expert at avoiding your emotions. That's just the reality. I have been an expert at avoiding my emotions. A lot of humans are experts at avoiding their emotions. Some of you will be experts at getting impatient very quickly. Some of you will be experts at feeling a fiery rage burn deep within you. There will be like things like that we become experts at. Now, some of us will become experts at things like playing video games or watching movies or knowing all...
Your job or a craft or a skill.
Well, I was going to say knowing almost every office episode by heart.
So you're just saying your three things?
Stop. No, I'm just
saying... Give other examples.
I'm just saying...
The worst thing about prison was the Dementors.
They're flying around. And so like to me, there's like categories of being an expert. There's like expert by the habit, the power of habit. And so the best way to describe habits, I don't know if I did this the other week, but like imagine like walking through someone.
Yes. We were talking about the grooves.
Yeah. So a habit is just like a deep groove in your brain that will be your default when you go into flight, freeze, or fight. And so if you're anxious or scared or whatever, you'll default to what your habits are, which is why it's super hard to break a bad habit, because if any sort of stress comes or anything that makes you feel anxious or fearful or whatever, you default to all these grooves in your brain. And so like develop good grooves is essentially like, and so there are things that we'll become experts at just by the habits that we've formed over and over again, whether they're emotional, physical, relational, like all those types of things. Then there will be things that we're experts as. And again, this is just my own personal theory, that things that we choose to do, like, I like playing video games. I, want to be good at exercise. Like my dad has been running his whole life. And so he is an expert at running.
Right.
Is he slower now than he was? Absolutely. But he still can do it and do it much longer and further than me. We all know people who are expert at like really anything. Like Brooke is an expert at cooking, because she does it every night almost.
Yeah.
When we're out of DoorDash gift cards, she does cooking. And so there are like things that you will become an expert at that you just do all the time, like your job. for example. So like we are experts at releasing t-shirt collections and designing shirts and stuff like that.
Right.
And even within that, there's like different variations of being an expert. Like there are a couple of designs this collection that like have not sold. And so like something that I thought would do well did not. And so like there are still like levels of expertise. And so, we'll calibrate that again next time around. And so.
Yeah, I think you're using the term expert, meaning that you've put in your 10,000 hours or more. Because sometimes like I hear the term expert and me being the more like black, white person, I get like, well, I'm not an expert at cooking because like there's always people better than me.
Yeah.
And like, that's not really the version.
Yeah. I'm not talking about
in, like this competitive way.
No, like you're not going to be on Iron Chef,
right?
But you have expertise
right
in the kitchen,
yeah.
Like I don't, so compared to me, you do. Like, I don't want to like put numbers on it, but
no. I just like, that's more what, like listening, that would be my personality of like, oh gosh, I'm not an expert at anything.
Right. But you are.
And that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
and maybe if you're a teenager right now and you're listening, because I know we do have a few families that listen.
Yeah.
Like you aren't quite there.
Right.
Like, but as most adults have become competent at a few things, good or bad. Mm-hmm. And so then as I was kind of unpacking this in my head, and this is again why like you should have quiet time and time with the Lord, because I think that these are the types of things he'll put in your head to like refine you and cultivate a good life in you and push you forward to becoming more like Christ. Because without the time and quiet, I wouldn't think of these things and have time to kind of ponder. And so then I was thinking like, okay, well, I got my default expertise in some good habits, some bad habits. I've got my like recreational expertise or work related expertise in things that I enjoy doing or things that I have to do because of my occupation. And then it's like, well, what do I get to choose to be an expert at? And some people choose expertise in their job. Like this is a Venn diagram and there are overlaps that go throughout. And so I was just like, sitting there reading this book and I was like, well, if I want to be an expert at anything, I want to be an expert at parenting. Yeah. Like I will be, 1, it excites me. 2, I love it. And 3, I will be a parent for my whole life. Lord willing, And so I was just sitting there and like, it kind of dawned on me that like, well, that's my choice. I can.
Yeah, it's not going to just happen either.
It's not just going to happen, but if I choose for it to happen, to me, being an expert or having expertise, however you want to dice it up in your brain to make it work, like Black and White Brook over there, means that I have to put in the work and, study and do all the kind of things that it takes to be an expert. Like you didn't learn how to cook last week. Right. You didn't learn how to cook last month or even last year or even in the last 2 years. It's been a lifetime of being with your mom in the kitchen and practicing and trying and doing all these things. And so like, I didn't learn how to sell t-shirts in one day, it's been years. And even still, there are things where we're still tinkering and trying and stuff like that. And so for me, like expertise is like both the willingness to learn more and then never feeling like you've learned enough. Like that to me is becoming an expert. So like, I will learn more about parenting and then continue to try what I've learned to then learn more. And I will learn some things work with one of my children that doesn't work with another and I will have the wisdom and wherewithal to tinker as I go, becoming an expert at parenting my kids. Yeah. And then you take me and you plop me in another family and now I'm not an expert at parenting kids anymore. I need to learn and relearn and stuff like that. And so I just like, I don't know, it was like an epiphany or just like an aha moment. Like, man, this is an incredible opportunity to choose. Like we get to choose this. And so I felt really encouraged and kind of passionate because we've sort of been sharing like what brings you to life, what brings you joy, what makes you come alive. And those things are all great. Like for me, those things lately have been paddleboarding. Matt and I went paddleboarding a bunch of times. Like it was super fun. I was like, I borrowed them from my friend Ian and I'm like, can I just keep these for a while? And he's like, sure. Our house is getting worked on anyway. So they were actually in the way. So this is great. And I was like, amazing. And it's like, I have found a lot of enjoyment in that. And that's like a fill me up type of experience.
Yeah.
Kind of like surfing, painting. Like I'm not short of those. And so like by default now, if I keep paddleboarding and keep enjoying it, I will become an expert at it. Like Matt fell the other week and I didn't fell. So it's not a huge deal. But the first time I went out, I fell like 7 times and not like gracefully.
Right.
And then the second time I went out, I was so scared of falling that I just stayed on my knees the whole time. And he was like, "Are you ever going to stand up?" And I'm like, "Don't judge me." Anyway, so like I will have some expertise in that as I, enjoy it and it brings me life. Same with painting.
Yeah.
And so to me, I just felt like, man, there's a whole other category to life that we can have expertise in, that like we need to choose both for who we are now and who we want to be in the future. And for me, parenting became this like aha moment, like studying the Bible and understanding, scripture. That is another one that I find a little bit more struggle for me to push through and do that well. For other people, they do it and you're just like, how? Yeah. Like you're amazing. Teach me your ways. And so like there are definitely things that are good for that. And so, but then I thought, okay, I'm picking parenting. Like, let's just say, I'm just going to use another example that's more in the recreational category. So like, let's say I want to become an expert painter.
Yeah.
And so I paint and practice. I become a great painter. I sell paintings for $1 million. Like I'm amazing.
Can't wait for you to paint that one.
Yeah, I'm working on it. And, that has some legacy to it because of the income made or whatever. But let's say there's no income involved and I just like become a great painter, enjoy it, love it for my whole life, and then I die. Spoiler alert, he's dead. There is not much legacy impact from becoming a great painter on the people around me. If you mix in income, there might be, but let's just say there's no income. So I wasn't that good at moving. And so I die and there's nothing left of, my paintings get boxed up or maybe people give them away or whatever. Now, the other side of that is I become an expert at parenting, and I do that my whole life, and I study and I tinker and I learn and I develop, and then I eventually die. Years and years down the road, babe.
Yeah.
She's getting real choked up right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, I need to know when to book my zipline tour for your urn. I just like, at what point? I'm kidding.
But the expertise in parenting now has this ripple legacy effect on generations to come.
Right.
June and Sunny and Daisy are probably better adults because I chose to become a better parent.
Yeah. Their
spouses are probably the right type of spouses because I raised them to be great girls. Mm-hmm. Like they then are better moms because they saw their dad be a great dad.
There's a bigger, deeper ripple effect to choosing to be an expert in that area, is what you're saying.
Yes. And so the challenge that I have for you today, or the encouragement that I have for you today, is you have expertise and you will have expertise throughout your life. Some of those things will be great. Some of them will be bad. Some of them will be totally for fun, which I think is great and I think is absolutely needed. And then there's this like special sauce category to me that will have generational impact on you, on your family, on your kids and your children's children, stuff like that. And like following Christ well and understanding and learning about him is one of those, hands down, for sure.
Yeah.
Like the legacy of being a Christian is more likely to be passed down if you're a great one.
Yeah.
And so to me, like, I just want to challenge and encourage and maybe hopefully inspire, like, to pick something.
Yeah.
And go for it. Like, don't just pick it and be like, oh, if it happens, it happens. Because that is no expert. Like, no Michael Jordan is like, well, if I become the best basketball player that's ever lived, then I'll become it.
Right.
Like, obviously it was an insane amount of raw ability, but
right.
Also an insane amount of practice and dedication.
Yeah.
And so find those special sauce things. And to me, I think parenting is a worthy one. Being good at like discussing emotions, being a good husband or a good wife, are are all ones that I would also encourage to become an expert at. And because you like, it'll be worth it. Like no one who has become a great parent at their end of their life will be like, man, I wish I wouldn't have spent so much.
I should have done with my time.
I should have been, like crabbier or, whatever, like, or like, I wish I would have watched more Netflix shows.
Right.
Like, and so, so again, this is not to shame people who enjoy, like I enjoy a lot of recreation and I want to become an expert at a lot of recreational things.
Yeah.
Because I think that the joy of the Lord is our strength. But then I think as you develop that strength, it gives you the endurance to then pick a good and worthy and noble category and fight to become competent and able at it so that you can impact generationally and not just yourself.
Because like using your painting example, like there is a lot of value in your girls seeing you paint.
Absolutely.
For your whole life. But I think value is different than the generational impact you're talking about.
Yeah, I do think that like everything we become an expertise in has generational impact.
Right.
But I think that there are some where the ripples are like throwing a boulder into the lake rather than throwing a tiny pebble. Like them seeing me paint year after year, being creative and discovering new ideas and new techniques and changing styles and going back and like all that kind of stuff is very super valuable. But to me, that's like maybe I threw a stone in and they see like, oh, it was worth having a hobby for dad.
Right.
And so I'm going to have hobbies. Like those are important things to learn. But I'm talking about like, this is a rock that I found that I can barely carry and I'm going to throw that in. And what is that rock? What is that stone that legacy stone that you want to carry and become an expert at so that when you toss it into the lake, it ripples out for many, many years.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had more to add, but I'm sitting here thinking about like what I wanna. Words.
Well, so like you by default, like you just becoming a strong, competent, capable, brave, courageous woman will have so much more impact on the girls because they're looking to you in much more tangible, practical things. Like when they go through womanhood, they're probably going to call you and ask you, hey, mom, this is happening in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Those moments in time,
so,
like my 16th birthday.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All this spicy drama at my 16th birthday. What do I do?
Well, here's the thing. My ex-boyfriend told me he wasn't going to come.
Oh.
And I was like, that's fine. You're at a concert. Go do your thing.
You are a murderer of love.
But then shows up.
Wow.
Whoa.
Only rock trolls are allowed back here.
That's what I wanted to say, but I was feeling a lot of things. It was crazy. Yeah. I don't know. Basically, that was probably my face.
I like this made-up conversation with the soundbar you're having internally.
Right, yeah. I'm going to think about that and come back next week because I would agree with you that I think for me, the giant stone or boulder I would choose to hold, which I love that visual picture.
Yep.
And that's always something that you're really, really good at is taking words and attaching them to a visual picture, an example, because then it's so insanely helpful in life. I do agree that mine would be parenting, specifically parenting girls, because that's the world I'm in. But there are other stones. See, like, I don't have trouble being like, yep, there's my big stone. That's my boulder. I know it. I've actually already kind of started. I've been reading 100%. And listening and praying through and like, I know that. My problem is what are my medium-sized stones around it that fill me out as a person and add value to my big one? Because if your big one is parenting,
your biggest hopefully is your relationship with Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Default. We're going to default there.
Yes. But like you throwing the painting pebble or stone in next to it, like that's actually one of the ways that you have become an expert in parenting and showing your girls through example, like how to live a full life. And so I'm both thinking about what big stones I want and also like, I need to try harder with the little stones because they do matter. And that's always something I struggle with. Like I just don't have a lot of extra or I don't know.
Hobbies isn't really the word.
I don't mean to make it sound extra like it's pointless, but just...
No, it's like, I know what you mean. And I think our listeners do as well because we've talked about it quite a bit. So I think that's kind of enough for today. I would just encourage you to like, to me, this is like an ongoing, like this is a recent thought. It's not something that I've thought about for weeks. It's probably been maybe, or months. It's probably been maybe a few weeks where like I had this like aha moment and then I ordered like 15 books on Amazon on parenting. And I was like, I'm going all in.
You?
Me? Yeah. We have 700 bottles of paint in our house. It's great. But
it is great.
Sometimes like, I just think that's the mentality we need to have. Like if I want to become an expert at something, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to go hard. And then there'll be lessons of like,
that's where you shine and excel because you do that so naturally.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the side of like, I went all in on a bunch of things I don't actually care about or shouldn't have done.
Which I've done.
But that, like, we deal with that.
Yep.
And that is its own thing.
So I banned myself from watching Kickstarter videos.
I did have to do that. You are not allowed to back any more Kickstarters for the next year.
But look at this idea. It's just so cool. I mean, they're going after their dreams. Eh?
I know. With somebody else's money, okay? And then, what are we doing about?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Talking about just like going all in.
Oh, and then I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want to tell anybody. I don't want to make a big deal out of it. I just...
Nope, not all
But that both ways you can burn out both ways.
Yes,
and
neither. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but like, it does look different for everybody. But there is such value and momentum, and it can be good to be passionate.
Yeah.
And just be like, this is it, and I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And if everybody's like, whoa. Yeah. Be like, yeah, whoa.
And then that's where it's like, for us, Brooke and I now have a weekly meeting. It's on Mondays. We talk about some, just really generic stuff, not generic, but like just like basic household, finance, that kind of stuff. And then like this then becomes a great point of like, what's that boulder and how are you, like, what did you do this week? Like, my friend Jeremy says like, he's the one that talks about rhythms all the time, living in a weekly rhythm. And he's like, you could say you're a painter, and if it's not in your rhythm weekly, well, are you really a painter? Right. If you say you're a writer, but you haven't written in a month, are you really a writer? And so like this then becomes a great place to check in weekly to be like, how is like developing, like how are you diving deeper into becoming an expert at parenting or an expert at painting or an expert at running or whatever, like that becomes something that you can check in weekly.
Yeah.
And that helps. And then like ideally Brooke and I want to do quarterly meetings and then like yearly sort of summit style meetings. And then that becomes a great place to like really recalibrate and be like, okay, you started off strong. You've read, 6 or 7 books, but you haven't read one in a few months because I can tell the passion is waning. So what can we do to reignite that passion?
Yeah.
Because it's worth it and I know it's worth it. So like, what do we do?
Right.
And so those are just ways, like really practical ways that you can kind of stay on the ball when it comes to like finding what you want to be an expert at or finding what you want to have expertise in.
Yeah.
Depending on, which way you like to word it.
I love this.
And then like, for me, I guess I'll end here is like, there are definitely ways that we become experts at bad habits. And so this might be a whole nother conversation, but like for me, like today I was super triggered by it. June went from like having fun. We were making bread and then I had to wrap the bread up and she like instantly got sad. And I'm like, you knew this was coming. Like we were going towards.
It's going to go in the oven.
Yeah. And so it's like, I found myself just like I'm becoming an expert at getting super irritated when that moment happens.
Right.
And I do not want that groove to get much deeper in my brain. And so for me, it's like, I need to find ways to calmly discuss what is happening in a way that's not like, why are you sad right now? Like that is not going to be helpful. And so to me, there's definitely a conversation to be had with your loved ones or your spouse or, you know, a best friend or mentor of just like, where am I becoming an expert in? Like, what area am I becoming an expert in?
Accidentally
Or unintentionally that I don't want to be. Like for me, there was a while where I was like becoming an expert in politics because I just listened to talk radio all the time. And it's like, that wasn't helping.
That was a double-edged sword a little bit.
Yeah. And so like, I just, you know, I cut it off.
Right.
Like I just was like, I don't need to know every political thing that's happening in this world. Do I check in on the important things from time to time? Absolutely. But does it make me a better dad or a better husband or a better follower of Jesus to know every day what the headline is that's shocking everyone and hear the 9,000 reactions? Like, no, it doesn't. And so like I was becoming an expert at a thing that was making me be less of an expert at the things that mattered.
Yeah.
And so there needed to be a recalibration, a switch. And so for me, it was like, oh, I'm done listening to those, period, full stop.
Yeah.
And so like, that's been a couple of years now.
Yeah, maybe almost 2.
There was also a period of time where I was becoming an expert at drinking soda every day.
That was a long time ago.
But again, something that I was like, do I really want to do this
Right.
all the time, forever, in perpetuity?
Yeah.
No. And so changes have to be made. And like,
Right. I totally forgot you used to drink soda all the time.
and I'm kind of back on it with Olipop. I don't know where that falls in the like,
But even still,
Yeah,
my goodness, not like,
it's like 3 grams of sugar versus 40. So little difference. I don't know if you know, but 40,
is it more than 3?
it's 37 more than 3. Wow. Math. So those are just like my encouragements, sort of my thoughts that have been percolating this week. Hope it helps.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. And the collection is live. And so we say like, we don't do sponsored posts. We don't do podcast ads. We don't have a Patreon because you guys shop collections. And so shopping this one is a great way to support this podcast and support Brooke and I. But again, there's no obligation to do that. But we do appreciate it.
Yeah.
We really like it. So you can use the code MindMush or Ashes to Ashes. Did we come up with a new one?
Well, I thought of a funny one earlier and then it was really early.
A goat rope?
Yeah.
Yeah, use the code goat rope.
GOATROPE.
Goat rope. I'll figure out.
What's a goat rope?
I don't know. I have so many more questions for Sunny after we're done. Well, anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for making this a part of your week. Hope you have a good one. Okay, I love you. Bye.